I mean, I can't imagine, I mean, I certainly didn't imagine back then what we would be doing now. I mean,
Absolutely.
mucosal resections and all these ESDs, EMRs. And, did you foresee the evolution of endoscopy?
Well, I mean, I certainly felt that there was more that we could do. Obviously, we were always at the mercy of the of the devices, of the endoscopes,
Right.
and then the devices, and I think that's how we collectively became involved with Don Wilson. Because we didn't have gadgets, the injection needles, papillotomes, snares, and Don Wilson being the smart guy, a good businessman, and obviously developed that niche. Right. And to facilitate our looking after patients.
I remember, I actually clearly remember you coming up to me and saying, Greg, come with me. And I didn't quite know where we were going, but we jumped in your car and you drove us out to a little industrial mall.
In Marcon, that's right.
And we come in this kind of driveway and then sort of a paved area in the back, and we knock on a door and say, well, what are we doing? Yeah. Where are we going? Yeah. And that was the beginning of an amazing
Wilson
partnership. And right. Do you remember meeting Don and how you approached him?
Yeah, it was just by chance that I ran
and how did it come across your mind that he was?
Well, I had heard that that he was a guy that was sort of a gadgeteer, and I called him up, and he was quite open, receptive, and said, you know. And obviously he had a lot of experience in those days, not so much from the endoscopy point of view, but I think the radiological aspects of that Cook was in with
catheters and urology,
and that was a perfect switch from radiological devices to endoscopic, which was perfect. So that's how that's how we started our association, and obviously I think for all of us, a very important relationship of trust, friendship, and Don was a very forward-thinking guy, realized the potential of devices, and I think and encouraged us, at least when we started our meeting. That started because in a way, it's a funny thing to say these things, but we had, at least originally, a bit of an inferiority complex, that we were perceived as not academic, and basically thought to ourselves, well, screw you guys. We think that, not that we had no brains or anything, but we were so focused on patients and how we could deliver these things. And certainly in the environment in Toronto, and I think in a lot of other places, gastroenterologists weren't thought of as great. They were, no, it's not that we never thought, but they were sort of looking at their belly button rather than getting there shoulder to shoulder or pushing the surgeons out of the way because
Right.
we felt so committed that we could do things more efficiently, safer, cheaper, with great outcomes. And I mean,
ultimately that-
I can remember when you did your first papillotomy and took a stone out. This was probably about 9 or 10 o'clock at night
Right.
in the basement of the Wellesley Hospital. And that's like it's just amazing how everything is mushroomed from. I guess the first big challenge was GI bleeding, and then polyps, polypectomy, methylene blue injection, then varices, how the ligator came out,
Right.
and really revolutionized how many of these unfortunate people would die or needed shunts.
Right.
And then when you look at in the last, I think we probably started doing EMRs in probably about 90, in the late 90s. And that was mind-boggling. I mean, I can remember at one of our courses on Inuis, and I think he'll get a chuckle if he ever sees this production, that and it brings into context the difficulty you have, at least in the early days of setting up live endoscopy courses. Like, you know, who are these guys coming? Like, where are they from? Who's licensed them? How do you know they're not going to be
Cowboys.
dangerous or whatever?
Right.
And I remember Inui doing the first EMR outside of Japan on a young, I think the guy was probably 35, 36 with what actually turned out to be a granular cell tumor, which was
Right.
about 2 centimeters in the mid-esophagus, and we held our breath as he was doing it. And then everyone awed, you know, and clapped
Clapping
as it
and,
just was this beautiful EMR, one piece, and the patient went home.